Hi, everyone. This is Lois and Joe, and we're back. We want to share with you our New Year's greetings with you. It's so wonderful when a new year begins because I always feel like that's my opportunity to look at what didn't work in the past, let it go, and move forward with what I want to do in the coming year. And as coaches, that's so important for us because that's what the people we work with look for. And so we want to share with you some of what we've learned. And Joe and I were talking this morning because Joe came across a marvelous email with some suggestions that we wanted to share with you. You want to go ahead, Joe, and explain to our audience what it was that we learned and what we want to share?
Yeah. Jim Edwards is a mentor and a good friend. He runs several businesses. And he put up a post today that I thought was just really, really good. I've been in the goal setting, goal planning. I've used everything from SMART goals and smarter goals, and focus goals, and just all sorts of tools over time to try and keep my eye on the ball throughout the year and to be successful. And just like Lois, I spent this last week, the last 5 days, on vacation with my family. I spent a lot of that time in reflection about how did 2019 go and what do I want to get done in 2020. And then boom, I landed on Jim's post this morning. And I just wanted to share with you a couple things out of it because it really, for me, it really painted a little bit of a different perspective on how to think about goals. And it used all the steps that we're kind of familiar with, but it used them in a different, put them in a different framework. So I just wanted to share that with you. And he talks about goals and outcomes. So we tend to focus, and there is a difference. So if we're talking about outcomes, the outcome that we're after, or say maybe it's a business goal, we want to say, I want to make $100,000 this month. That's the outcome that we're after. Now you could frame that in a lot of different ways, but a lot of people would set that as the goal. The goal is I want to make $100,000 this month. So say for the month of February, I want to make $100,000. And that would be the goal. And that's how most people would kind of traditionally set that goal. However, the $100,000 isn't the goal, as Jim puts it. That's the outcome that we're after, not the goal. The reason it's important is because there's this huge distinction. So I'm going to talk you through that real quick. We use $100,000 in the month of February is the outcome that we want. Once we have figured that out, we know that in order to do that, it's going to require a series of action steps. And we're all familiar with action steps to achieve goals. So the next step in this process is you determine the outcome you want. And typically you'll do all five. There's the 5 major pillars in life. And so you want to make sure you have outcomes for each of those in your life throughout this coming year. I have 10. I do 2 of them per pillar for my life, or close to that. It's 2 or 3 per pillar, or in 1 in some. So I don't have any more than 10 throughout an entire year outcomes that I'm trying to achieve. And then I do those action steps underneath. And that's, Jim says, let's do those action steps next. So maybe we'll have a list of 3 or even up to 100 action steps that it's going to take to achieve that outcome. And that would be great because that's what most of us focus on. Most of the time we set this big goal and then we have all these action steps that we know that we have to go through in order to achieve that goal. So we're reframing, we're saying we're setting an outcome that we want, and then we're setting this list of action steps. So some of those things are familiar. So you have this list of action steps. And then out of those list of action steps, you're going to pull 1 or 2 actual goals. So out of that, so if I want to make $100,000 in the month of February, then I'm going to have this list of action steps. And maybe it's I have to do a certain number of social posts, or it's just I have to obtain a certain number of leads, or I have to have my leads have to have conversions. Whatever your action step is for that particular outcome, there's going to be one or two, there are going to be these huge dominoes that if you knock them over, they're going to knock down all the rest of the dominoes. And if you have a list of 3 or you have a list of 100 action steps, you're only going to have 1 or 2 that are actually going to knock all the rest of them down. And when you achieve that, that's what's going to happen. So say you have a outcome of I want to live my life at say I'm a 240-pound person. I want to live my life at 190 pounds. So you frame your outcome in a positive outlook, because if you try and lose 50 pounds, it'll never happen because the 50 pounds will always grow back. However, if you want to live your life at 190 pounds, that's achievable and that's a positive. So if we want to do that, one of the action steps that we could take would be to get up at a certain time of day and do 30 minutes of exercise 5 or 6 days a week. That's realistic, it's actionable, and it's within your control, because there's only 2 things in your life that are in your control. That's the things you think and the things that you do. Everything else is outside of your control. You can't manage politics, you can't manage your family, you can't manage anything. There's only 2 things you control, and that's what you think and what you do. So your action steps are those things. Now we know that if we want to change, if we want to live a 195-pound life or 190-pound life, then we need to get up at a certain time of day and do a certain amount of exercise. And that's the domino that tips over all the other dominoes. That becomes the goal. The goal isn't to live a life at 190 pounds. Your goal then becomes to get up at 4:30 in the morning every day and to do 30 minutes of exercise or more every single day, or 5 or 6 days a week, whatever your action step is. And then that is the framework in which you process goals. If you put out this big, hairy, audacious goal and it says, I want to earn, every month I want to earn $100,000 per month, and that's your big goal, that's not achievable for most people, because that's not something that you can actually control. However, what you can control is an action step that will tip that over. So depending on your business, your metrics, all those things, maybe you need to generate 100 new qualified leads per month. That's an action that you can control because it's affected by how you think and what you do. And then that domino will tip over every other domino until you get to that outcome that you actually want. So if you want a little bit better framework on that, you can go over to ClickFunnelsOfficial.com and put in Jim Edwards and look it up. But that's a post that he put out there this morning, a little bit more clarity than maybe what I gave you. However, I've given you the nuts and bolts of that, and it is just so powerful. I'm getting ready to finalize my goals for this coming year, my outcomes, whatever you want to call them. The words aren't important. It's how you process and go about it that's important. It's given me a lot more ammunition to go in there and do that effectively. So I just wanted to share this with everybody today, Lois, because I just think it's such a powerful way to reframe something that many of us have become so accustomed to thinking about in one particular way that we can't even see past it. We've failed so many times at achieving our goals. If anybody out there is like me, I've failed more than I've succeeded when it comes to goals. It's just, and I'm very systematic. But this gives me a new way to think and to look at it and set myself up for a little bit better success this coming 2020. So anyway, I think that's important for people to hear and to understand there's more than one way to look at this thing and to get it done and be super effective with it.
And goals are everything, aren't they? Because that's what gives us the fuel in our engine to propel us forward.
Yeah.
And I think what I like about what you're talking about, Joe, is that if we miss a day, we think, oh, okay, I messed that up. I guess I'm not going to achieve that this year. And so we kind of stop thinking about it sometimes, or maybe we miss it for a whole month. But when you have it broken down by actionable steps as your goal, then you can go, okay, I'm making progress. I'm moving forward towards it. And so it's easier to hold on and persevere rather than to just give up and let go.
It's so much more measurable.
It is measurable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's super measurable because you're not going against a metric can't control. If your goal is $100,000, I mean, how do you, yeah, you might be able to measure that, but when you miss it, it's a devastating thing. But when it's a daily task that you have total control over, it just falls into that realm of possibility. And so, yeah.
So that's our New Year's wish for you, is that you just take some time right now, today and tomorrow. Take a look. What do you want to get rid of from last year? And then take a look. What's the outcome you want for this coming year? And what are the action steps that you need to take? What goals do you want to pull out from those action steps as your big goals? And then work towards them in a systematic way. And we can't wait to hear from you.
Yeah.
Subscribe, let us know, comment below as to what you've learned, what you've experienced. Share it with our group, because I think we're all always learning how to do it just a little bit better, just a little different, so we're more effective.
Yep.
So happy New Year, everybody. And we are so looking forward to working with you in the coming year.
Absolutely. Can't wait to hear what your goals are and how you're able to successfully move forward using this or some other method. So super excited for you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.